A woman's screams echoed through the emergency room as doctors fought to save her life, but her husband wasn't rushing to her side. He was 3 floors below in the hospital cafeteria, laughing over coffee with the woman he'd been hiding for months. He thought no one would notice. He thought the walls would keep his secret safe. But what he didn't know was that his wife's best friend had just walked in, phone in hand, recording
This
every
evidence
word.
clearly
What
shows your
happens
involvement.
next
That's
will
not what
leave
it
you
looks like. Let
speechless.
me explain.
Explanations
Before we
won't suffice
begin,
this
drop a
time.
comment telling us where you're watching from and whether you believe in second chances. The pain hit Sarah Mitchell like a freight train tearing through her body. She collapsed in the bathroom of their downtown apartment, her hand instinctively clutching her swollen belly as crimson blood pooled beneath her. The baby. Her mind screamed the words her voice couldn't form. She fumbled for her phone with trembling fingers, the screen slippery with her tears. She dialed James, once, twice, 5 times. Each ring felt like a knife twisting deeper into her chest. No answer. Her vision blurred as another wave of agony ripped through her abdomen. She tried to stand, but her legs buckled. The cold tile pressed against her cheek as consciousness began slipping away like sand through desperate fingers. With her last ounce of strength, she dialed 911. "I'm pregnant. Bleeding. Please." The words barely escaped before darkness pulled at the edges of her vision. The paramedics found her unconscious, her skin pale as winter snow. They lifted her onto the gurney with urgent efficiency, their voices sharp with commands that cut through the chaos. Inside the ambulance, Sarah drifted in and out of awareness. The monitor beside her beeped erratically, tracking a heartbeat that grew weaker with each passing second. As they rushed toward Mercy General Hospital, Sarah's eyes fluttered open just long enough to see the city lights streaking past the window. And there, standing under the bright awning of a coffee shop across the street, she saw him, James, her husband, her world. His head thrown back in laughter, his hand resting casually on another woman's shoulder. Rebecca Chen, the coworker he'd promised was just a friend. Sarah tried to lift her hand, tried to scream his name, but her body refused to obey. The paramedic gently pressed her back down. "Stay still. We're almost there. Your baby needs you to hold on." But the image burned into her mind like a brand. Her husband's smile, bright and careless, while she bled out in an ambulance fighting for their child's life. Inside Mercy General's cafeteria, James Mitchell checked his phone for the 14th time. The screen lit up with missed calls, Sarah's name flashing again and again. He exhaled sharply and silenced it, sliding it face down across the table. "She's so needy," he muttered to Rebecca, who stirred her latte with a knowing smile. "Always calling, always demanding attention. Maybe she needs something important," Rebecca said softly, though her eyes held no real concern. James leaned back in his chair, his confidence unshaken. "If it were actually serious, someone would handle it. Tonight is about us." 3 floors above them, nurses sprinted through the emergency wing. "We need consent for emergency surgery. The baby's heart rate is dropping," one shouted. Another nurse held up her phone, voice strained with frustration. "You've called the husband 17 times. Nothing." Dr. Patel burst through the doors, his face grim. "Document everything. We proceed with or without him." Back in the cafeteria, James's phone buzzed again. This time the screen displayed Mercy General Hospital Emergency in bright red letters. Rebecca's breath caught. "James, that's the hospital." He glanced at it, his jaw tightening. For a split second, something flickered in his eyes, doubt, maybe even fear. His thumb hovered over the green icon. Then he pressed red, ending the call. The silence between them felt heavy, suffocating. "She's always dramatic," he said, but his voice had lost its edge. The cafeteria doors burst open with a force that made every head turn. Jessica Torres, Sarah's best friend, stood in the entrance, her phone held high, camera recording, her eyes locked on James with a fury that could melt steel. "You're here," she said, her voice trembling with rage. "While Sarah is upstairs dying, you're here having coffee." The cafeteria fell silent. Every conversation stopped. Every eye turned toward the table where James sat frozen. Jessica, this isn't, he started to stand. Don't, she cut him off, stepping closer. Don't you dare, they've been calling you for 40 minutes, 40 minutes. Your wife is in emergency surgery, your baby might not survive, and you're sitting here with her. Rebecca shrank back, her face draining of color. James's mouth opened and closed, but no words came. Jessica's phone remained steady, capturing every second. The nurses told me you ignored every call, every single one. While doctors fought to save your family, you chose this. I didn't know it was that serious, James whispered, but even he didn't sound convinced. You didn't want to know, Jessica spat, and now everyone else will. She turned on her heel and walked toward the elevator, leaving James standing in a cafeteria full of witnesses, all of whom had heard everything. Within minutes, Jessica's video began uploading. Within an hour, it would be everywhere. Sarah woke to the steady beep of monitors and the soft pressure of a hand holding hers. Her mother sat beside the hospital bed, eyes red but filled with relief. Mom, Sarah's voice came out as a rasp. SHH, baby, you're okay, the baby's okay, you both made it. Tears streamed down Sarah's face as the memories flooded back. The blood, the ambulance, the image of James laughing while she fought for her life. Where is he? She whispered, her mother's expression hardened. He came, eventually, but Jessica made sure the whole world knows what he did. It's everywhere, Sarah, the video, the calls he ignored, everything. Sarah closed her eyes. Part of her wanted to feel relief that he'd been exposed. Part of her just felt empty. I want a divorce, she said quietly, and I want him to have no rights to our baby. Her mother squeezed her hand. Already called the lawyer. We'll make sure you and your child are protected. By morning, James Mitchell's life had imploded. The video had gone viral, 15 million views and counting. His company issued a statement placing him on indefinite leave. Rebecca had blocked his number after being doxxed online. News outlets picked up the story. Husband ignores dying wife's emergency calls for coffee date. He stood alone in the hospital parking lot, watching from a distance as Sarah's mother wheeled her out the main entrance. Sarah held a tiny bundle wrapped in blue. Their son. A child he might never get to know. Reporters swarmed, but hospital security kept them back. One photographer captured the moment, Sarah, pale but strong, staring directly at the camera with her mother's arm around her shoulders and her baby safe in her arms. James tried to approach, but a security guard stepped in his path. Sir, you need to leave. That's my wife, my son. Not anymore, the guard said firmly. Restraining order was filed an hour ago. James watched them drive away, the weight of his choices crushing down on him like a collapsing building. He'd lost everything in one night, his family, his career, his reputation, all for a moment of selfishness he could never take back. Sarah built a new life, one choice at a time. She raised her son with the help of her mother and Jessica. She finished her degree. She learned to trust again. And every night, as she held her little boy close, she whispered a promise. You will always know you are loved. If this story moved you, don't just scroll past. Hit that subscribe button because every story we share matters. Drop a comment telling us, do you believe people deserve second chances or are some betrayals unforgivable? Share this video with someone who needs to know they're stronger than their worst moment. And remember, your worth is never determined by someone else's inability to see it. You are enough. You have always been enough.